There we go. We got it. I heard
There
it.
you go.
This meeting is being recorded.
Excellent. Okay, and I'm going to just share our screen. And then we're ready to go. Close over here. Okay. Here we go.
And
Next.
we can see.
Previous.
So if
Yeah.
we go,
Here we go.
yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Excellent. So welcome everybody. As I said, we're delighted to have you here tonight. We're so excited to have you share with us our first Neurodiversity Thrive coaching session. So a very, very big warm welcome to you from both Tracy and I. So moving over to the next slide, we're going to just say, well, who actually is it who is spending time with you this evening and hosting you? So Tracy, as my friend, my partner, my mentor, who is an amazing neurodiversity coach. She has more than 20 years of experience. She's changed so many people's lives. And she's also the founder of the School of Life and an educator. And I'm so delighted for her to be my partner and for us to be able to share this series with you. And I'm an agile coach and a life coach, an ADHDer who's passionate about helping neurodivergent individuals and teams thrive using practical strategies and just really being an advocate for ADHD and neurodiversity, whether it's in our schools, in the workplace, just really trying to get that acceptance out there. So this is who we are. And the question now is why? Why are we doing this? So if we move on to the next slide, we're doing this because what we want to do is we want to empower neurodivergent minds with the tools, the strategies, and the support to thrive. And neurodivergent is a relatively new term. So I had someone just yesterday say to me, what does that even mean? So if you're one of those people who isn't 100% sure, it talks to people who have perhaps got ADHD, ASD, etc. And there isn't a lot of support out there with regards to neurodivergence and ADHD. And it's often misunderstood, and many people who are ADHDers or ASDers, they feel alone and unsupported. And we wanted to create a safe and an inspiring space where we could learn about ourselves, learn about our ADHD, and share and connect. And also, we wanted to make sure that everybody got some practical strategies that do work, that there are some real solutions for real challenges. There's a lot of things that we struggle with in our lives, whether it might be my specialty, procrastination. Then having the skills, and it's all about having that self-awareness and then having the skills in order to deal with that. So we set up the sessions because we believe that neurodivergent people, everybody is here because you deserve to thrive and not to just survive. So moving on to the next slide, we wanted to just give you a quick overview of what will be coming in the next couple of weeks as we set up this coaching group together. And what we'll be doing is we'll really be focusing on the executive function and mastering executive functioning and creating some practical strategies for ADHD adults. And if you're a parent of an ADHD, these are the same kind of strategies that you can use for your children, for your friends, for your family. You can really share this knowledge and implement it in your lives to really make a big difference. So it's a coaching framework that's for skill building, self-awareness, and empowerment. And tonight we all know that we're looking at understanding ADHD and executive functions. And next week we're going to be looking at prioritization and planning skills. Session 3 will be focusing on time management and overcoming procrastination. I'll be attending that one. And then on session 4, we'll have organization and task management. 5 will be emotional regulation and resilience. I think my husband thinks I should attend that one. And then we have session 6, which is building consistency and self-motivation. Session 7, coping with setbacks and adjusting strategies. And session 8, reflecting, celebrating progress and future planning. So what we've done is we've set up a coaching program that we can share with you over the next 8 weeks. But this is an ongoing program that will carry on, and we'll be adding more items to the schedule. And we'll also be taking feedback from everybody about what are your challenges? What do you find that you're struggling to deal with? And then seeing if we can't set up sessions for you, because this is for all of us, this coaching group. So as we move over to the next slide, I am going to hand over to Tracy, who is going to take us through understanding ADHD and executive functions. So over to you, Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our first group meeting, and it's really exciting that you're all attending. So just to give you an introduction, ADHD is a lot of people still say ADD. ADD is no longer mentioned. The DSM-5, which is the clinician's diagnostic tool, has 3 presentations for ADHD. And still people think ADHD is this hyperactive child running around. But the hyperactivity and the impulsivity is only 10 to 13% of people diagnosed with ADHD. Predominantly inattentive is 23%, and mostly is combined type. So you've got 60 to 64% of ADHDers that they have all of those. So it's a neurological condition, and it does affect our self-regulation. It's actually about our self-control. So it says the brain is a complex organ responsible for our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors, and decision-making. Executive functions, which include skills like planning, impulse control, working memory, and emotional regulation, are primarily managed by the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain located right behind the forehead. For individuals with ADHD, okay, so this is where our challenge is, the prefrontal cortex develops very differently. So we have a different type of ability. And that is something to be celebrated. It's not something, so as we go through the presentation, there is obviously the truth and the facts about what trips us up. There's also a lot to be celebrated. So this is definitely not doom and gloom. Very successful people are ADHD. They've just learned to manage it. So it's an understanding, and it's not an excuse. And the way we do the coaching, and you'll see throughout our training and our coaching, is that we first make you self-aware, because you can't change anything unless you're aware. So we sleep most of our lives. We operate on our unconscious level. So 95% of our behavior is automatic pilot. So the coaching will be self-awareness. That's what we're doing now. Then it'll be self-reflection. There's a little poll we've got just now about making you think and reflect on your skill set and your strengths, and etc. Because you can't get foresight unless you've got hindsight. Then you're going to do self-correction, and that's the exciting part, because you have skills to self-correct. And then it'll be self-management. So those 4 stages will be worked into all that Tash and I do on this training. So let's go. So obviously you can see over there where the prefrontal cortex is, and that controls the executive functioning like planning, memory, social skills, and advanced thinking. In adults, it helps determine a sense or danger of an action. So that's what it affects. Okay. So this is what it looks like. Okay. When you say, so you can get mild, moderate, and severe in all these different areas, but the neurodiversity, ADHD, affects all of these. Okay, so it's based on the 7 mental abilities that are actions directed at ourselves. So the first is self-awareness. So this is self-directed attention towards ourself. We have very little self-awareness. Okay, and an example could be like a child recognizes they're getting frustrated while doing homework. They might take a break or tell themselves to stay calm. Adults show self-awareness when they notice they're overreacting in a situation and step back to reflect. They're able to actually take a step, pause, and reflect on their behavior. So this is the Ferrari brain, and then this is the bicycle brakes, the inhibition, the self-restraint, impulse control. So a child resists the urge to interrupt while a classmate is speaking. Adults use inhibition when they choose to stay focused on work instead of checking social media every few minutes. Then there's a non-verbal working memory. So that's the mental imaginary. So an example could be a child remembers the layout of the classroom to locate their belongings. For adults, non-verbal working memory helps them when you're driving and visualizing directions without a map. Then we've got, it affects verbal working memory, the internal speech. A child talks themselves through a task. First, I need to find my crayons, then I need to start drawing. Adults use this when giving themselves reminders or talking through decisions in their head, unless that internal bully, that mind bully, is taking over and you're overthinking and you're ruminating, which is typical of a lot of us, until we learn to take control of that mind bully of ours. A big one, because we have big emotions and because of 90% of people with ADHD have RSD, which is rejection sensitive dysphoria. And this is the biggest thing in what the research is coming up with now, is the thing that trips us up, is that we have thin skin. So we are hypersensitive to rejection and criticism, and we actually can feel it like we've been punched in the chest or physically wounded when we're rejected or criticized. So that plays into the emotional self-regulation. A child feels calm by taking deep breaths when upset. Adults use emotional self-regulation by recognizing they're stressed and choosing to meditate or to take a walk, just to pause. Then there's self-motivation. A child continues a difficult puzzle on their own, even when there's no reward. Adults self-motivation to start and complete tasks, like sticking to an exercise routine, even without an immediate reward. And then there's planning and problem solving, self-play. So a child decides how to organize his toys in a way that's easy to clean up. Adults use planning and problem solving when brainstorming ways to handle a project, budget, or challenging task. So those are the 7 self-directed behaviors that is affected. So a lot of my clients will say to me, my husband's so immature, or my wife's so immature, or my child is so childlike. So executive functions in ADHD, you can take 30% of somebody's age. Okay, that is where the executive functions are. So that's why it's so vital to be able to work on all of them. So, for example, a 30-year-old, you're looking at the executive age of 21. So it is 30% off. And dealing with hundreds of clients, all of them said it's spot on. I think it
Katie,
works as you get
can I
older.
celebrate my birthday
Yeah,
according to that?
absolutely. I think it's amazing when you get older, because then you
Yeah,
really
I'm
feel
going
you're
to
as young
celebrate
as
my.
your energy. So this is really cool, but it's a good understanding for parents or for partners when it comes to looking at the executive age of the person who has been diagnosed with neurodiversity. Okay, so this one over here is a little self-assessment. So again, the whole idea is to make you self-aware, because when you're aware, you can reflect, correct, and then manage. Okay, so I'm just going to read it out. And even if you don't write it down, it's just for you to think about it, to say, or think about your child or whoever you actually attending for here, of how you can support yourself, support your partner, support your kids. And these are the things to look out for. So it's to rate yourself. 1 would be never, 2 rarely, 3 sometimes, 4 often, and 5 very often. Tash, is this going to go onto our website? Great. Okay, so you can get this on our website after our session. Okay, so the one is attention and focus. So I find it hard to stay focused on tasks that don't interest me. I get easily distracted by sounds, people, or my own thoughts. I struggle to complete tasks before starting something new. I hyper-focus on things I'm passionate about, sometimes losing track of time. And the time blindness is real. It's really real for us ADHDs. Okay, then organization and time management. I often feel overwhelmed when trying to plan my day. I struggle with time management and often underestimate how long a task will take. I misplace things like keys, phones, and important documents. I find it difficult to follow multi-step directions or remember appointments. Okay. Then again, impulsivity and emotional regulation. I interrupt people during conversations without realizing it. And a lot of the time, I've realized I do it because I'm so scared I forget what I want to say. So, and kids do that all the time. And it's not them being rude. It's just a lot of the time they forget. They're scared they forget. I struggle to control my emotions and can react strongly to situations. I make impulsive decisions without thinking through the consequences. I sometimes speak before thinking and regret it later. And then energy and motivation. I have bursts of energy but struggle to stay focused. I stay motivated on routine tasks. I procrastinate on tasks, then rush to finish them at the last minute. So we use deadlines as motivator. We lastminute.com. The night before we'll do it because the consequence is in the here and now. If the consequence isn't in the here and now, we procrastinate. And then I do well in high pressure situations, but struggle with low stake tasks. I often feel restless or need to move around more frequently. So you can just see where you're all there. And then strengths and positives. I'm highly creative and come up with unique solutions. I'm great at thinking on my feet and adapting to change. I have a strong sense of curiosity and love learning new things. I'm passionate and enthusiastic when I care about something. So that's just a very brief one. We do an in-depth lagging skills assessment, which is also going to be online, where we take each one of these, okay, and we assess it also from 1 to 5. So, for example, in our assessment, like response and ambition, so that's to think before you act. Points would be like, do you rush through work just to get it done? Do you have the patience to produce quality work? Do you give up on a task when you encounter an obstacle? Do you avoid work or don't complete work when you get distracted and there's more interesting things to do? So under each one of these headings, there's a whole lot of different questions. So it makes it very practical to look, okay, so this is exactly the response and ambition. You actually are rushing to get the work done. And then we take each point and then we work on that. So it becomes very practical to correct. And I think that's what we all need is the practical skills. So we know exactly what it is and then how we can correct it. So it goes through all of those over there. So neurodiversity is the idea that brain differences are natural variations, not deficiencies. A lot of people say it's a disorder. It's a different type of, it's not a disorder, it's a different type of way we think, a different type of how we behave. But it's very easily manageable. It's the most, there's Dr. Russell, Professor Barkley, and he says that it's like diabetes to the brain. It's the most treatable condition. And of course, because we're dopamine scavengers, we lack dopamine in our brain. Okay, exercise is the most important remedy for somebody with ADHD because we get our dopamine from exercise. So there are a lot of people who don't want medication, so which is fine. We don't talk medication because we're not qualified to do that. But we can say, then go for exercise, 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 exercise. You get your dopamine from that. So we have a unique way of processing the world. Okay, so instead of seeing ADHD as purely a set of challenges, we recognize that ADHD brains process information non-linearly. So we jump between ideas instead of following strict sequences. So that's why that whole thing, we're squirrel, because you are all over the place. We have high energy and creative, so that can lead to innovative problem solving, and we can hyper focus on interests of topics that are of deep interest. We don't like the small talk, and majority, a lot of us, not all of us, but we find it hard to make the small talk. We want things that are meaningful. And when it's meaningful and it grabs our attention and it's stimulating and challenging, we love that. So I'm going to just stop there and I'm going to just put on a poll I've done for all of you, because this again is just to cover, here we go. All right. So this over here, can you all see that? Can you see? Okay. So you can all fill this in. So I've covered 4 areas of strengths because we need to work our strengths. That's the most important. We need to focus on what we can do. Don't focus on what we can't do. Because when we focus on what we can't do, we're disempowered, unresourceful, and demotivated. So we need to focus on our strengths. So it's cognitive strengths, emotional strengths, social strengths, and then your executive function strengths. So I'd like you all to please do this poll. And then, yeah, we'll allow a few minutes for this. So remember, it is what it is. This is about becoming better. So we're going to work on 1% better every day. In 365 days, we're going to be 7 times better than we are now. So don't judge yourself for what it is. It's okay, this is our starting point. Nicole, yes, correct. So what you're going to do is we're looking at your strengths. We're going to build up on your strengths. So we're going to say, okay, so cognitive strength, okay. It says at the top there, okay, is that something that you have? No, it's no problem. Is it, are you creative? Do you think outside the box? So just tick which ones you are. If you're not that, it's fine. Okay, but you're aware of it because again, like I said to you, we need to become aware in order to correct and then manage moving forward. Very impressed. It looks like everybody's doing it. Hey, that's amazing. Look how strong you all are. Wow. Empathy. Sure. Now, a lot of comedians are actually ADHD. Okay, is there anybody who hasn't completed this or finished yet? You just put your hand up and we know. Okay. So that's creativity. We got 72%. Yeah, we all got 18, 72, yeah, 18, yeah. Problem solving is 50%. Curiosity is 72%. Yeah, we got very curious minds. Quick thinking, processing information rapidly, 39. Being able to hyper-focus, deep engaging in topics of interest, 67. Then our emotional strengths is resilience, bouncing back from setbacks, 47%. Okay. Then empathy. Wow, that's the highest. And that's how I've also 89%. We feel because of our big emotions and our RSD and everything else, we have got good intuition. We just don't always listen to our intuition. So empathy is a really strong thing we have. Optimism, your intuition, only 42. But a lot of us have it, we just don't listen to it. We don't tap into our gut feel. Okay, sense of humor, 74%. Okay, charisma, 78. Communication, 22. Teamwork, 61. Persuasion, 22. Compassion. Yeah, empathy and compassion are huge. So the lowest here is moving towards your communication. And that's why the divorce rate is double with people with ADHD. And a lot of the time when the couples come in and they say, I said, can I tell you what the biggest problem is? And they look at me, the husband or the wife looks at me, I said, your partner doesn't listen. How do you know? And it's because we've got this Ferrari brain. So we also, because we can be hypersensitive, because we've been so criticized. I mean, a 12-year-old has heard 20,000 more negative messages than a neurotypical child. So we are defensive. We can be defensive. And then we listen to answer. We don't listen to yeah. So listening skills is really, really important. Okay, so this is a good indication of where you at and what you need to work at. Okay, and it also gives us an indication of where we like communication skills is definitely something we can include in our weekly sessions, because that is important. I mean, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships, and communication skills is the most important of all the life skills. Thank you for doing that. I'm going to end the poll now. Well done, everybody. Thank you we can share the results. I'm sharing the results. I don't know where I'm sharing them. Maybe I'm sharing them in the chat.
No, we can see them. They've popped up on the screen.
Were they not on the screen before? Okay.
I didn't see them.
Okay.
Might be. I was multitasking.
Okay. Okay. So you will be able to see that if you'd like to. Right, so let's just carry on with our presentation. Okay. Yeah. Yes, so it's also to reflect. It's to spend time reflecting on what are the things you want to work on. So remember, 1% better every day. In 365 days, you're going to be 7 times better than you are now. What are the things that you need to work on when it comes to your executive skills? Okay. And then your strengths, because we focus on our weaknesses, but I don't believe there's weaknesses. They're just undeveloped strengths. You haven't spent time working on them to make them a strength. That's why they're a weakness. So we can take anything and we can work on it. If we work on it and put the effort into it, it can become a strength for us. So which strengths do you use most often in daily life? So maybe if you want to pop it into the chat, out of all the strengths, which is your strength that serves you well, that you use every day? Let's just do that one. So which strengths do you often use most in daily life? Tash, can you see the chats?
I will open the chat now and have a look at it.
Thank you. So just pop it in there, because it's nice for everybody else to see what you are using. So mine is definitely resilience. I'm like a cat. You can drop me on the floor and I just bounce back up.
Yeah,
And
mine
that,
too. And I think also that being positive and seeing the good in everything, I think it's highly annoying for a lot of people. You know what I mean? So something not great will happen, but I'll immediately turn around and be like, okay, but how can we make this work?
wow.
So yeah, we're getting great responses. We've got empathy coming through, positivity, resilience, um, empathy and understanding people's emotional states and needs, empathy and positivity, compassion, adaptability, empathy, which serves me well and also has the opposite effect. Yeah, well, that's true. I've experienced that as well. And thinking outside of the box, communication,
Cool. Then,
sense of humor.
yes, that always
Lovely
helps.
responses, everyone. Lovely.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to number two, how these strengths helped you overcome challenges. If you want to share um, something personal that can help everybody, I mean, that's wonderful. That's really good.
Dallas has posted the children I care for are creative and passionate about things they love. They also have good sense of humor.
Brilliant.
Then Rebecca's saying, thinking outside of the box.
Cool. So how's that? Let us know what challenge you had and what strength you had that helped you overcome that challenge. So I will tell you, was diagnosed with breast cancer a year ago, and people thought I was in denial, but I actually wasn't. I'm just resilient and I'm very positive. And I said, okay, I'm going to make this work for me. So now I've got something else I can add to my CV. I can actually help cancer patients. And it really was like that for me. I was able to flip the script immediately and I say, okay, because I understand that having that can do, do have mindset is what gets me going and keeps me content in my life. And we will do mindsets at some stage because obviously everything starts and ends in your mind. It's when you think of what you can't do and don't have, you're unhappy. So how I was able to flip the script and learn from it. Okay, so now I don't want to get it again. What am I going to do? So I had to look at myself and say, okay, I have a good self-assessment. I need to exercise more. I need to stop eating sugar because I love sugar. Okay. And I had to do, you know, corrections on myself, which was great. So there's always ways you can turn it around. So for me, positivity and resilience is definitely to help me overcome cancer. And I'm fine, by the way, guys.
Yeah, that's amazing, Tracy. You were amazing with that. And I think, yeah, mindset is definitely something that we should do and also mind bully.
Yes,
Because I think sometimes our self-talk is just so bad. We never talk to other people the way we talk to ourselves.
absolutely.
But
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
looking at what people have posted, it helps me overcome being picked on.
Oh, good.
Um,
Nice.
Someone else posted, understanding that people's personal states are not a reflection on me, but rather a need in them for connection or understanding. And that got a lot of emoji responses from others appreciating that comment. I live in a toxic environment, and it is my resilience that keeps me sane.
That's beautiful.
And Sam said, thanks for sharing, Tracy.
Mm.
And then we got another post saying, believing that that even in the worst of situations, something good can come from it.
Yeah, it's perspective. It's how we see things. So I always say things happen for me, not to me. And my mother brought us up saying things happen for a reason. And I said that my whole life. And then one day I stopped and I think, no, that's not how I want to say it. Things happen. I'll find a reason. And by turning that around, I took myself out of a victim mentality and things happen. I'll find a reason why it happened and I'll make it work for me. And that's quite empowering. It's an attitude to have, but it's quite an empowering attitude to help us get out of that space. Okay, so all of you choose what strength would you like to develop and how are you going to do that? What is one thing you'd like? I need more determination with my exercise. So I've sped it up. I've started boxing. Apparently, boxing, I've heard, is really great for ADHD people. Well, I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. All I want to do is punch everything. It's just fantastic. I'm going to get my own punching bag now. It's really a very cool sport. So it's just persistence. I need to make sure I persist with my exercise like I'm doing it now. Tash, what's yours?
I posted mine in the chat actually, and
Did
I
you?
said being present and listening to others because when you asked me earlier, was the poll not actually showing? I was being so ADHD and I was actually updating the deck. So I didn't know whether the poll was showing or not. But it's about being present and just present in the moment and being and listening to others. So, but we've got lots more coming through on the chat. Communication, resilience, prioritization, concentration, emotional regulation, confidence in self and avoiding imposter syndrome, prioritization and resilience, communication. Great, guys. Really, really
But
great.
how are you going to practice it? So it's nice to say that, but how are you going to do it? What practical steps are you going to take to make sure you 1% better at that every day? We want a plan. That's the most important thing because a lot of us say, I want to have more self-control, but we actually don't think it through to say, okay, so what does that look like? What do I need to do? Okay, do I, every time I want a chocolate, say no and put the chocolate down? What do I need to do to develop that? That's the most important part.
Changing the voice in my head, tuning out the doubters and listening to the voice that says, I can.
You can. You certainly can. You say you can, you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are all great, everybody. Thanks so much. We're going to move on now to the next slide so that we can
Yay.
look at what is it that we've covered in the session and what is your homework. Oh, we've also just had a quick post coming up, getting up earlier and planning my day.
Brilliant. Well
Planning the day is
done.
a big one. That one makes a
Excellent.
big difference.
Excellent. Yes, so
For
homework
planning,
is.
having an accountability partner.
That helps. That really does help. Or a personal trainer
Mm,
that comes to your house
mm.
and then you have to get up. You have the failure disease is called excusitis. We have excuses for
Yeah.
everything. So none of us can have excusitis. The homework until next week, because again, remember, we need to, repetition is the mother of skill. You need to repeat things. That's how you learn everything in your life. And by you repeating it and doing things, it's gonna make it so much easier for you to start living this. So journal examples of how your ADHD symptoms impact daily tasks. Write down specific examples where you notice ADHD symptoms affect your daily routine or tasks. Okay, so keep a journal. Just get a book and make this your coaching book. Okay, you're a neurodiverse life skills coaching book. Okay, lesson 1, homework. Okay, then identify a situation where strengths were used effectively. Reflect on a time when your ADHD-related strengths helped you succeed or manage a challenging situation. Remind yourself. Okay, in the next session, we'll reflect on what you've done and what you've said and your actionable plans that you put in that has helped you. So we want results. We don't want excuses, we want results. And we can all be better and we can all do more. There is no ceiling to it. Okay, there's no perfection. We strive for progress, not perfection. So when you're progressing, you're happy. So keep moving 1% every day. Okay. That's my part of the presentation done.
Beautiful. Perfect. So if you could share for us again, what we're going to look at next is we're going to I'm just getting back there. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And then while I'm chatting through the next couple of slides, what Tracy will do is she'll just have a look at the questions and see if there's one or two that we can still answer in the time that we have. But if we're going to look at what's next. So when we look at what's next, what we have is make sure that you join us next week on Friday the 11th for session 2, which is prioritization and planning skills. So because learning how to prioritize effectively and plan with confidence is life-changing. It's that list that girl was talking about in the morning, but it helps to reduce overwhelm, stay focused, and make real progress towards our goals. And it unlocks strategies in our brain to not go against it. Tracy, do you mind going towards the end of the presentation just so that we can
Sure.
just, I think it's the third last slide, where we're just looking at what's next. The next slide. Next one. Yeah, there we are. There we go. Perfect. And so yeah, so you don't want to miss that. So make sure that you register for that. We'll be setting that up soon and sending you guys emails about that so that you can register for that. And then I've got a little teaser for you. If you move on to the next slide, is that we've got some exciting news. What we're going to be doing towards the end of the month is we're going to be launching a 3-day Achieving Your Goal Challenge. Okay, so we're going to be running that from the 26th to the 28th of February. And it's your opportunity to take that goal or that one thing or whatever it is that you've always been meaning to do, but you put off and you procrastinate or your mind bully gets, or overwhelmed, whatever it is. And for each one of you, you're going to choose what that goal is and you're going to then turn it into a real achievement. We're going to talk about practical steps. We're going to provide guidance. There's going to be an accountability forum. So no more delays, guys. You're going to take action and you're going to win. And there is even going to be a prize. There's going to be a free one-on-one coaching session for the winner. So we'll be sending you details of that as well. And then I'll just quickly check the chat to see if there's any, if we have one question, so that's great because we have one message, 1 minute left. How do you apply all of this to a 10-year-old?
One at a
So
time.
that's like,
One at a time. You can't apply all of it. Okay. You need to take
mm.
one thing where it'll really benefit your child and apply that. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming, even for us. We get so excited and we want to change and we want to do everything, but 1% better every day. And I really mean that. So just take one thing. What is the thing that your 10-year-old needs and apply that? Okay. And then you build momentum that way.
And it's a journey. It's like, because, I have a child that's more or less that age, and, it's understanding what their biggest thing is and what they need. I mean, so for us, it's very much a case of making sure we're ready the night before and that we've reviewed what the next day is going to be and what it looks like, so it's very much about that planning and understanding that and making it visible that there's a board up and the timetable's everywhere. It's on the fridge. It's on the front door. It's, just so you have that visibility. But, like Tracy says, it's one thing at a time and it's a journey and one step at a time. And, maybe, if that's something that, everybody's interested in, we can look at, adding that as one of our coaching sessions. We will be doing a in-person workshop for parents and teenagers in the middle of March. But yeah, I would just say one step at a time. Yeah.
Aim for
Just like
progress.
Tracy says.
Aim for
Yeah.
progress. You just want progress. That's all you want. Okay. How we move a mountain. One rock at a time. So it's exactly that. That's what you do. Build momentum that way because it'll be steady.
Perfect. Yeah. So we'll be sending emails for the next coaching session, which will be next week. And then after that, we'll also be sending information on the challenge. But yes, thank you so much for joining us. We had so much fun with you guys. You guys were amazing. You were so interactive, and we just loved sharing this time with you guys. And we'll see you next week for the prioritization and planning skills. And if you enjoyed the session, please share it. Share it with as many people as you can so that we can reach more people. It's a free session. We just want to provide that support and those skills out to people who's, all of us who struggle with this kind of stuff. Let's use Tracy's expertise, guys.
Excellent. Thank you all for attending, and I really hope you can take one thing away that can make your lives a little bit easier or your kids' lives a bit easier. But there's lots to learn. It's a very big subject, and we've got lots to share with you. So thank you for all attending. We hope to see you next week. Have a good rest of the week. Bye.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye, everyone.